In the heart of Detroit, surrounded by dilapidated structures and vast inequities, two brothers, Choni and Malik, confront the complexities of growing up. The harsh urban environment reflects their personal turmoil and continually reminds them of their resilience amidst difficult circumstances. Born into humble beginnings, they grapple with the absence of their father and their mother's struggles with mental health, which cast long shadows over their lives. Nevertheless, the brothers epitomize hope in the midst of despair. At the age of 16, Choni bears the burdens of life with stoic resolve, standing firm against the adversities he faces. Malik, only a year younger, shares his brother's courage, his eyes gleaming with visions of a brighter future despite their present hardships. Their bond, strengthened through shared challenges, offers solace to their mother, Barbara, and to each other, a light in their darkest times. Accustomed to the persistent pangs of hunger that remind them of their plight, it is this very deprivation that propels them forward. Guided by hope, they venture into a wealthier part of town, a sharp contrast to their own neighborhood, with a simple goal: to trade work for food. This endeavor leads them to a fortuitous meeting with Matt, a man burdened with groceries, a sign of the prosperity unfamiliar to the boys. Taken aback by their request yet touched by their sincerity and evident need, Matt is compelled to perform a gesture of kindness that evolves into much more. By allowing the boys to fill a cart with essentials, he not only provides a glimpse into their lives, but also comes to understand the depth of their hardships and the strength of their character. This act of compassion becomes a lifeline not only for Choni and Malik, but also for Matt, weaving their lives together in unexpected ways. Yet, the impact of their encounter reaches further, drawing the attention of local authorities. Misunderstandings lead to a police visit, a harsh reminder of the ease with which misinterpretations can escalate, testing the fragile ties of trust and community. However, it is this very ordeal that underscores the power of empathy, elevating a simple act of kindness to a demonstration of the enduring strength of human connections, the resilience of family, and the unyielding spirit of hope. As dawn breaks over Detroit, casting a gentle glow on the streets, that Choni and Malik wandered the city in their quest for food. As they did, a touching narrative unfolded that deeply moved the community, illustrating the profound effects of kindness and the lasting strength of human connections. Matt, affected by his interaction with the two brothers, decided to recount their inspiring tale of perseverance and his own unforeseen bond on social media. His sincere words aimed to foster empathy and quickly spread across the community, extending well beyond the confines of digital platforms. Yet not everyone who read the story saw it through a compassionate lens. A neighbor, recognizing the context and the characters involved, viewed the situation with skepticism rather than understanding. Misinterpreting why the boys were in a more affluent area, this neighbor promptly alerted the authorities. Consequently, Choni and Malik were portrayed not as deserving sympathy but as subjects of suspicion. The tranquility of the Black family was shattered by the sound of police at their door. The officers, stern and commanding, were there in search of the boys whose story of struggle had just begun to garner community support. Their questioning, tinged with skepticism, aimed to challenge the boys' true intentions. Previously indifferent to such familial conflicts, the community suddenly found itself at a pivotal juncture. Matt's sincere narrative caused a rift among the residents. Some were touched by the genuine and exposed nature of the boys' plight, rallying behind Choni and Malik as they recognized similar unspoken hardships in countless others. In contrast, some neighbors, swayed by fear and mistrust, hesitated to offer their full support, their attitudes colored by bias. This episode went beyond a simple miscommunication, shedding light on the larger societal issues facing marginalized communities. It served as a powerful reminder of how easily fear can overshadow empathy, how tales of marginalized people are often met with doubt, and how the journey toward understanding and support is fraught with barriers of bias and judgment. In the midst of this turmoil, the narrative of Choni and Malik, as told by Matt, stood out as a call to action, urging the community to rise above their biases and harness the power of empathy. The unsettling visit by the police, rather than alienating Choni and Malik, inadvertently triggered a wave of community dialogue. What began as a distressing misunderstanding swiftly turned into a defining moment for the community, fostering widespread acknowledgement of the need for empathy, support, and collective understanding. Matt's decision to share the boys' situation on social media, originally meant to raise awareness, transformed into a powerful call to action that echoed well beyond their local area. As the reality of the Black family's struggles was revealed to the public, the story took on a life of its own. Matt's post, initially a simple account of a compassionate act, evolved into a viral phenomenon, moving hearts worldwide and initiating a crucial conversation about empathy and understanding within our society. This story was not just being shared around the world, it became a vehement call to action, serving as a vivid reminder of the significant impact that collective empathy can have. The GoFundMe campaign, started by Matt to ease the family's immediate financial woes, swiftly grew with the aid of donations from individuals moved by the young boys' determination and dreams. The outpouring of support was transformative, not only in terms of the funds collected but also in the less tangible yet equally significant changes it fostered within the community and beyond. This event clearly illustrated how empathy, when effectively mobilized, can break down societal barriers, overcome prejudices, and foster a shared sense of humanity. The money raised established a foundation for the Black family to rebuild their lives, offering them a crucial lifeline to education, stability, and the development of Choni and Malik's entrepreneurial aspirations. The unfolding events stood as a compelling evidence of the power of pure kindness. During their most challenging moments, when the road forward seemed fraught with obstacles and doubts, the Black family stood at the center of a community invigorated by optimism. Assistance from numerous quarters not only eased their economic struggles but also illuminated a pathway to a future that had previously existed only in the boys' dreams. This situation underscored a deep reality: the collective human spirit harbors an infinite well of compassion, which has the power to guide us toward recovery, comprehension, and the realization of aspirations previously deemed unattainable. Through this ordeal, the community not only provided immediate assistance but also demonstrated the lasting impact of united compassion and support. The wave of compassion they inspired extended well beyond their own borders, demonstrating the transformative impact of united action and empathy. Do you have any thoughts after hearing this story? Tell us in the comments section. Next, to give you another story, let's continue to see it. At a quaint bus stop diner, where the windows were blurred by the passage of time, the morning sun pierced through, showering the well-worn furniture with warm, golden light. In a corner, an elderly man named Henry enjoyed a modest breakfast of pie and milk. His aged hands shook slightly as he lifted the fork to his lips, each mouthful providing a sweet comfort in this modest refuge where he sought moments of peace. This serene break was suddenly interrupted when three hefty bikers stormed into the diner, their arrival thickening the air. Clad in leather jackets adorned with various patches and emblems, their heavy boots clomped loudly on the linoleum floor. They were known as Randy, Spike, and Tank, each moving with the swagger of men who rarely face resistance. As they strutted past Henry's table, Randy, the leader, took a long puff of his cigarette before ruthlessly crushing it into Henry's pie. His sneer was taunting, daring Henry to react. Henry merely gazed down at his now spoiled dessert, his face a mask of stoic calm and resignation. Spike, taking pleasure in his own malice, grabbed Henry's glass of milk, spat into it, and set it back down with a scornful laugh. Tank, the most formidable of the trio, dispensed with any pretense. With a quick move, he flipped Henry's plate, sending the remnants of his meal scattering across the table. Without a word, Henry took out his wallet, laid some money on the table for his meal, and rose to his feet. The bikers burst into derisive laughter, their taunting guffaws echoing throughout the diner. As Henry straightened his hat and headed towards the door, one biker ridiculed his seeming cowardice to the waitress, Lisa, a young woman who had observed the whole episode with both fear and revulsion. Swift in her response, Lisa quickly replied with a witty grin, "He's not exactly skilled at driving a bus, seeing as he just backed his massive truck right over your bikes." The laughter that previously filled the diner came to a sudden halt as the bikers looked at each other in shock. They hurried outside to see their cherished motorcycles knocked over and significantly damaged, with a bus parked ominously in the lot, its engine humming quietly as though nothing out of the ordinary had happened. Henry was missing from the scene. Henry was nowhere to be found. The bikers stood in shocked silence, their once intimidating exteriors momentarily softened. Aggression was a powerful reminder of the strength that can be found in restraint. As she recounted the event, her eyes sparkled with a mixture of pride and amusement. Spike's face flushed with anger, and Tank appeared to be on the brink of losing his temper. Their motorcycles, once symbols of their liberty, were now reduced to debris, a silent tribute to a subtle act of rebellion by an unlikely foe. Within the snug surroundings of the neighborhood diner, Lisa peered out the window, her heart filled with gratification. She noticed Henry, a familiar figure and a retired bus driver who had endured many challenges in life. Known for his quietude, Henry carried an unwavering sense of self-respect and honor. He had recently delivered a quiet yet significant lesson to a rowdy group of bikers, showcasing the triumph of calm endurance over loud arrogance. Henry was a creature of habit, finding solace in the predictable patterns of his daily routine. The diner, with its time-worn seats and oily surfaces, acted as a refuge from the pandemonium of the outside world. Here, he could relish in simplicity and serenity. Yet, this peace was disrupted when the bikers stormed in, their intrusive behavior climaxing with the desecration of Henry's pie, a gesture not merely impolite but a stark insult. The bikers, assured of their supposed superiority, misinterpreted Henry's quietude as weakness. They could not have been more mistaken. With composed serenity, Henry reacted not with words, but with a deed that conveyed much. After silently settling the bill for his spoiled pie, he exited the diner, his departure emphasizing his indomitable grace. His approach was unorthodox yet effective. Henry drove his bus with the same reliable hands that had long guided his existence, a faint smile playing at his lips. He took no pleasure in destruction but acknowledged the need to stand up for oneself. His experience had taught him that intimidators often mistake gentleness for vulnerability, and at times, a lesson must be imparted in a manner they comprehend. Back at the diner, the saga of the elderly man and the bikers quickly turned into a tale celebrated by the locals. Lisa narrated the story to anyone eager to hear, highlighting the moment Henry walked away without a second glance. The bikers, once so confident of their dominance, now became the butt of jokes and were rarely seen near the bus stop again. They had been chastened in a manner they were unlikely to forget. Lisa, who had encountered many different personalities over her years at the diner, found this episode especially memorable. Henry's silent dignity in response to blatant hostility served as a poignant reminder of the power inherent in composure. As she shared the tale, her expression was one of admiration mixed with delight. Respect for others that had not been present before. Lisa's defense of Henry went beyond merely protecting a regular patron, it was an affirmation of her own principles. When the bikers emerged to see the ruins of their motorcycles, the impact of their choices struck them forcefully. Their cherished bikes, once symbols of their identity, were now just twisted heaps of metal, serving as a stark reminder of the repercussions of their harsh actions. As Lisa recounted the incident, she emphasized not only the tangible destruction but also the moral lesson. True strength often resides in self-control and the ability to respond with grace under pressure. The memory of Henry's bust, the tool of their comeuppance, remained etched in their minds. They had considered themselves untouchable, yet Henry's subtle retribution showed them otherwise. Throughout the day, Henry maintained his usual schedule, driving his bus around town, collecting and dropping off passengers at their stops. His actions on that critical morning were intentional and thoughtful. He understood that sometimes words fall short and actions speak volumes. He demonstrated to the bikers that their conduct had repercussions they had not foreseen. In the days that followed, the story of the old man and the bikers spread across the town, transforming into a warning tale, a lesson emphasizing the importance of unconditional respect and the grave mistake of assessing someone purely by their appearance. Lisa's recounting of the events at the diner became a popular narrative, eliciting smiles and nods of approval from customers, thereby bolstering Henry's reputation in the community. For Henry, life resumed its usual pace. He was not a man who craved recognition or approval from others. He took pleasure in the mundane, in the daily routines. The meeting with the bikers was merely another episode in a life brimming with diverse experiences. It reinforced his conviction in the virtue of silent fortitude and the significance of defending one's values in the face of challenges. The bikers, meanwhile, were compelled to reflect on their own conduct. The damage to their motorcycles was a palpable consequence of their behavior. They grappled with both the financial costs and the emotional repercussions of their hubris. They faced the judgment of the community and their own self-assessment. Gradually, the bikers' demeanor became more amiable, influenced by the teachings Henry had provided. They remained tough but gained a new level of respect for others, a change shaped by their encounter with Henry. In their interactions with others, they had come to understand through a difficult experience that true strength was not found in coercion or domineering behavior, but in empathy and respect. Henry's subtle act of defiance became a beacon of resilience in the community. It demonstrated that one could uphold their dignity in the face of degradation and impart a meaningful lesson. His tale was recounted over and over, weaving itself into the fabric of the town as a reminder that justice can emerge in the most unexpected of manners. As the sun set over the diner, casting elongated shadows across the tables, Lisa looked out the window, reminiscing about the elderly man who had exited with such composed dignity. She grinned, recognizing that Henry's deeds had influenced more than just his own life, they had touched the whole community. Through his unassuming approach, Henry had demonstrated to all that real strength lies not in force, but in honor and esteem. The bikers, having absorbed their lesson, found themselves back at the diner one day. They were quieter and more restrained, their attitudes transformed by the profound impact of Henry's lesson. They now recognized that respect and humility are the true indicators of strength. Once marked by their boldness, they now embraced a reserved humility as they sat at the counter, consciously avoiding Lisa's gaze. Deeply conscious of the judgment they had previously invited so carelessly, they pondered their former behaviors. Henry, as usual, carried on with his daily routines, unaffected by the disruptions he had instigated. He remained a man of few words, yet his actions resonated deeply, standing as a testament to the power of silent strength and steadfast dignity. The town, having witnessed these events, emerged improved, having learned that respect and humility are the true markers of a person's character, thereby enhancing its communal spirit and shared values. Next, there is another story. Let's continue to see it. At the peak of a blisteringly hot midday, the sun blazed mercilessly above Maple Street, where the dusty pavement radiated under the relentless heat, saturating the air with humidity. Within a small, cluttered home on this tranquil road, an overwhelming silence dominated. Ethan, a 6-year-old, was perched on the brink of a worn-out sofa, tightly gripping a red rotary phone as his stomach emitted a continuous rumble, a familiar sensation these days as hunger bit at him without respite. The emptiness of the house felt increasingly normal to him, a haunting void he was gradually accepting. Ethan exhaled deeply and reached for the phone once more. He recalled his mother's instruction, "If you ever need help, call 911. With his plump fingers, he spun the dial and entered the vital sequence of numbers, his heart thumping against his chest. Soon, a welcoming voice greeted him, "Hello, this is the emergency dispatcher." "What's your emergency?" With hesitation, Ethan whispered faintly, "Ethan. I'm hungry." The dispatcher, Sarah, responded with a gentler tone, "Hungry, huh? What would you like to eat? Ethan's face brightened, a hamburger with ketchup and fries. A wave of worry washed over Sarah. This was no ordinary call. Ethan, where are your parents? She inquired softly. Ethan's voice shook as he replied, they're sleeping, but they haven't woken up in a long time. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Sarah assured Ethan, stay put, help is on the way. She efficiently arranged for a patrol car to head to the address Ethan had given. Shortly after, sirens pierced the midday silence of Maple Street. Officers Miller and Davis felt a surge of apprehension as they neared the house. The front door creaked open to reveal a chaotic scene, empty pill bottles scattered across a coffee table and a partially eaten breakfast left untouched on the kitchen counter. Drawn by a faint noise, they discovered Ethan crouched in a corner of the living room. Nearby, on a dilapidated sofa, lay two figures, motionless. Officer Miller hurried to their side, noting their shallow breaths. He urgently called for an ambulance. Ethan, his eyes wide and filled with terror, clung to Officer Davis. Are they going to be okay? He whispered. Davis knelt beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. The doctors will take good care of them, Ethan. You're safe now. At the hospital, it was confirmed that Ethan's parents had suffered from a drug overdose. Ethan would remain there for a few days, caught in a flurry of tests and surrounded by concerned healthcare professionals and community leaders. His heartening tale emphasized the necessity of attentiveness and the crucial nature of intervention in times of crisis. Finally, a social worker named Miss Hernandez arrived, her expression warm and her gaze compassionate. Ethan, she spoke softly, your parents need some time to recover, and we're here to support you during this period. Miss Hernandez detailed to Ethan that he would be residing in a secure environment where he would be well cared for and could feel safe. As they proceeded along the hospital hallway, her comforting demeanor gave Ethan a ray of hope amidst the turmoil of his youthful existence. The moment for change had arrived, yet Ethan understood he could not stay isolated. Would you like to come home with me? A voice pierced the quiet. Ethan, hesitant but trusting, gave a nod of assent. Miss Henderson, a compassionate foster care worker, swiftly brought him to a lively and inviting foster home, starkly different from the bleakness he had experienced. The home was alive with laughter, children frolicked in the backyard, and the enticing scent of dinner filled the air. That evening, a plate of hot hamburgers was placed in front of him. As he took a bite, the familiar savory flavor brought not only comfort through nourishment but also a feeling of inclusion, a sense of being wrapped in care. Over the weeks that stretched into months, Ethan flourished in his new surroundings. Miss Hernandez, who visited him often, provided updates on his parents' healing. One day, she arrived with a brightly colored box, exclaiming, "Guess what, Ethan? Your mom and dad are on the mend. They're eager to see you." A mix of excitement and apprehension washed over Ethan at the thought of reuniting with his parents. They looked frilier and paler, yet there was a revived light in their eyes. Overwhelmed with emotions, Ethan realized the path to recovery was lengthy and challenging, but he stood by them at every step. He became their beacon of support, a constant reminder of the love that awaited them on the other side. Years passed, and Ethan grew taller, his smile wider. He never forgot the day he dialed 911, not from hunger, but for the courage it sparked within him. His experience became a guiding light within the community, a stark reminder of the need for vigilance and the paramount importance of seeking assistance. During National Child Abuse Awareness Month, Ethan, now a poised young adult, would recount his story to an audience of parents, teachers, and community leaders, reinforcing the message of awareness and the critical importance of intervention in crisis situations. I was merely a terrified young boy, he started, his eyes scanning the assembled crowd, starving and isolated. Yet, my life took a new turn because I dialed 911, and because someone listened, someone cared. He shared his experiences of fear and uncertainty, the solace he discovered in a foster home, and the steadfast encouragement from Miss Henderson. He spoke about the arduous path his parents navigated, the setbacks they endured, and the victories hard won. It's often said that it takes a village to raise a child, he added, but sometimes, it takes a village to rescue one. Ethan's narrative deeply moved the audience. A woman in the front wiped tears from her eyes, while a young teacher listened intently, absorbing every word. Ethan's tale wasn't merely a recount, it was an act of sowing seeds of awareness and accountability. Following his speech, many lined up to meet him. Parents expressed their gratitude, social workers shared words of encouragement, and children, with eyes wide in wonder, bombarded him with questions. Yet, one query haunted Ethan, profound and laden with meaning: what about the other children? Initially too intimidated or unable to seek assistance, Ethan, driven by a renewed purpose and unwavering support from Miss Henderson, launched a youth outreach initiative. Together, they traveled to various schools to discuss the dangers of child abuse, the imperative of seeking help, and the significance of trust. Ethan bravely recounted his own struggles not to incite fear, but to empower and educate others. He set up a hotline, manned by empathetic volunteers, offering a confidential platform for children to voice their concerns anonymously. Managing the hotline proved arduous, characterized by frequent challenges and moments of extreme frustration. Yet, there were also profound successes. Whispered secrets turned into actionable reports that led to the timely rescue of children in peril. Named Ethan's Call, the initiative broadened its impact, attracting local, then regional, and eventually national recognition. News outlets, talk shows, and national publications highlighted Ethan's journey from a once petrified child to a national spokesperson for child welfare. Ethan continued to speak at conferences, pushing for tougher legislation and enhanced support systems for foster care and adoption. His voice, once a faint whisper over a telephone, now powerfully echoed in legislative chambers, advocating for change. Years later, as a college graduate with a degree in social work, Ethan stood at the podium during the inauguration of a new children's center named after him, which became a symbol of hope for many families. Encircled by jubilant children, committed staff, and appreciative parents, Ethan was deeply moved. The journey to this point had started with a simple, urgent request for a hamburger, a request that set off a series of significant events. In the audience, he caught sight of Miss Hernandez, her eyes shimmering with pride. A silent thank you permeated the atmosphere. This facility, and the movement it sparked, served as a tribute to the bravery required to speak out, the critical nature of being attentive, and the resilient spirit of a child who had the courage to seek assistance. Although the path ahead was still long, with more children to help and more challenges to address, it was clear that Ethan's voice, a voice ignited by a humble plea for a hamburger, would continue to resound as a persistent reminder that even the smallest voices can have a profound impact. Ethan's narrative not only underscores the necessity of paying attention and taking action when things seem amiss, but also highlights the strength of a supportive community in safeguarding our children. Moreover, it poses an important question regarding his parents. Considering addiction ravages families, should there be a heightened emphasis on rehabilitation programs in conjunction with child protection efforts? How can we build a support network that aids parents in recovery while safeguarding their children? Let's open a dialogue and share your views on this intricate issue. To envisage a future where both children and their struggling parents receive adequate support, we must first recognize the unique challenges and needs of these families. By developing a comprehensive support system, we can ensure every child has the chance to flourish and provide parents with the resources necessary to surmount their challenges. Such a future would entail the creation of more accessible and robust educational programs tailored to meet the diverse learning needs of children, ensuring that all children, regardless of their background, have access to quality education. Furthermore, after-school programs and mentoring initiatives could provide additional support and enrichment, aiding children in acquiring vital life skills and building confidence. For parents, especially those dealing with economic hardships, emotional challenges, or health issues, the establishment of targeted support services is essential. These services could include financial assistance, counseling, job training programs, and flexible childcare solutions that accommodate different work schedules. By tackling the root causes of parental challenges, we can foster a supportive environment that benefits both children and their parents. By addressing challenges such as unemployment or mental health issues, we can reduce stress and foster a more stable environment at home for children. Additionally, community-based programs that promote a sense of belonging and offer a support network can be crucial. These programs may include local groups or workshops where parents can exchange experiences and solutions, along with access to professional advice and resources. By weaving these elements into a unified framework, we can create a future in which both children and their struggling parents are not only supported but also empowered to overcome their challenges. This comprehensive approach ensures that the support system adapts and evolves to meet the changing needs of families, leading to a healthier, more equitable society. Do you have any thoughts after hearing the above 3 stories? Tell us in the comments section. We'd like to hear your thoughts. That's all for today's story. Please subscribe and give a thumb up. See you next time.